Hey everyone, this is Tommy signing on Energy Academy. In this video, I'm going to be talking about three things that a dictionary gets wrong about green energy. Lexico.com, an online dictionary powered by Oxford, defines green energy as renewable energy produced or harnessed in an environmentally responsible manner. The Cambridge Dictionary defines green energy as energy that can be produced in a way that protects the natural environment, for example, by using wind, water, or the sun. Collins Dictionary defines green energy as power that comes from sources that do not harm the environment and are always available, such as wind and sunlight. In this video, I will explain step by step why there is no such thing as green energy in reality, and why the most popular forms of green energy, namely wind and solar, are most certainly not green by the dictionary's definition. The word renewable implies that a thing is infinite in perpetuity. The water cycle, for example, is understood to be renewable. Water evaporates from the seas, it forms cloud, and then it rains back down on the land, which runs back into the sea and evaporates, and on the cycle goes. Vegetation that grows and dies and grows and dies again is deemed renewable. Solar energy, although slowly dying, is renewable because it is estimated to be millions of years before it eventually runs out. Wind is also going to be around for as long as there is the earth. If, however, we are describing as renewable an energy source that will be around for a very long time, then every matter in the universe is renewable. Bear in mind the famous equation E equals mc squared, whereby there is a direct relationship between matter and energy. This means a rock has contained within it a certain amount of energy, same as a blade of grass, same as a droplet of water. So long as matter such as earth, water, and atoms exist, we will always be able to extract energy. This means by regarding wind and solar as renewable, among others, is nonsensical, as these forms of energy are simply the resultant of the mass of the sun or the mass of air molecules. By that logic, every matter is potentially a form of energy and therefore renewable. The second feature of renewable energy is that it is supposed to be harmless to the environment. Here, the idea is that renewable energy causes zero to little harm to the environment. The idea is that green energy has a low impact on the earth and its ecosystems. There is something pristine and soothing about such an energy source. But the truth is that the energy sources deemed harmless to the environment cause a lot of harm in their own ways, and usually in places we don't get to see. Let me explain. It must first be noted that solar energy is the primary source of life on Earth, providing much energy for plants to carry out their photosynthetic reactions. However, solar energy in its natural state is not completely harmless. In fact, excessive exposure to solar energy can destroy skin cells, causing cancer, destroy crops, dry up much needed water sources. Solar energy in nature is powerful and can be catastrophic to plants and animals after severe or sustained exposure. Wind energy has its many benefits, one of which is that it spreads pollen and facilitates the proliferation of plants and forests. Yet wind is also not a zero harm source of energy, as we well know that it can cause typhoons, tornadoes, and hurricanes that frequently devastate forest ecosystems and human life. So the idea that these two main sources of energy is green and harmless to the environment is simply false. Wind and solar energy naturally cause a lot of damage and therefore are by no definition zero harm source of energy. But this is just a natural effect of wind and solar. What about the human effects of extracting energy from wind and solar? What most people don't know is that although wind and solar are relatively infinite sources of energy, the raw materials required to produce wind and solar energy is finite. Steel is finite. So is the coal used to produce the steel and solar panels. Rare earth minerals are finite, and so is the diesel used to transport mined raw materials. And then there is the backing up of wind and solar panels. So when they're not performing, which is usually done by either coal or diesel or gas, which are finite sources of energy. Here are some things worth considering when thinking about wind and solar farms and their actual impact on the environment. The process for extracting rare earth material exacts a huge burden on the land and the ecosystem that live on said land. For instance, the energy transition to rare earth minerals is said to increase earth mining activities by 5 times. And some estimations project even higher levels of mining. If the current energy transition from fossil fuel to rare earth materials is to be fully realized, then there will be far more land, animals, forests, rivers, and seas that will be impacted than at any time in human history. Another environmental impact is the use of water to process rare earth materials, which is far more that is used for conventional mining of metals such as aluminium or iron. Solar and wind installations impact far more land, sea, and airspace, and therefore more ecosystems than conventional power generation installations such as coal, gas, or nuclear power plants. The recycling of parts of wind and solar farms is notoriously challenging, expensive, and an unresolved issue. Finally, the nations that produce the most wind and solar equipment do so under the worst environmental conditions imaginable. It is for these reasons and more that so-called green tech like wind and solar cannot be regarded by any honest person as green. The burden it exerts on the land, sea, air, and ecosystem is far higher than most conventional energy sources. Now, the third feature in the definition of green energy is that it is always available. Now, wind and solar are notoriously not always available. 2021, for example, was a year of energy shock to Europe precisely because the wind was unavailable for significant periods of time. These forced EU nations to buy gas on the short-term market at an incredible premium. The sun is notoriously not always available during cloudy days or at night. So again, the dictionary definition gets it completely wrong when it describes green energy like wind and solar as available. And for this reason, so-called green energy that relies on a chaotic and unpredictable system like the weather cannot be deemed as always available. In conclusion, I will argue that there is no such thing as green energy because all energy source has an impact on the environment. However, some energy sources have a higher burden or impact on the earth than others. The irony is that most energy sources popularized as green energy today are actually best described as high burden energy. The solution, therefore, is to aim for the most useful but lowest impact energy source for any application. And this is what I will be doing on this channel and presenting ideas of the best available energy source for any given application and detailing the pros and cons of each energy source. So what are your thoughts on green energy? Do you think they actually harm the earth less? If so, let me know your thoughts. If you agree with me, let me know your thoughts too. This is Tommy signing off on Energy Academy.